Hello, wherever you are in the world. My name is Viola Edward, and I am here with you celebrating the breath in our life, in the world, in every part of the system, because we are systemic being. And, and we're going through a very interesting transition nowadays. And we have just celebrated 11th of April, the World Breathing Day. And in continuation of this celebration, because we want to do and to live and to breathe and to celebrate that we are alive every day of our life. And for that reason, today, my guest is Omar Chtioui. Omar Chtioui, because I also speak Arabic. And we thank IBF from all our heart, because of IBF, I met this man who's now a brother in my life. Ahla wa sahla. Welcome. Welcome, Omar.
Ahlin Viola, welcome Viola. Thank you so much, my dear.
So I want to know about you, Omar, and how is it that from being a successful businessman, you're still very successful, but you shift your area of expertise. You fall, like many of us, you fall in love with the conscious breathing, and you take it to maybe unthinkable ways, how you are operating nowadays in Middle East and in North Africa and in the rest of the world. So I want to know first, how is it that you fall in love with the conscious breathing?
Well, conscious breathing was just the result of my continuous long search about what is the most efficient, the most effective, the shortest way also to create changes. I was a hero in running away from myself, from my feelings, from my thoughts. Actually, I was a champion in that. And when the pain reached a peak, then we start questioning ourselves. What am I doing? Why I am here? How did I reach here? And this is how I start looking for the tools to help myself. I experienced many things. And it was just my first session of breath that I said, oh, wow, this is straight to the point, very simple, yet it's very effective.
Yeah.
And this is how I start reading a lot, having workshops, and I choose to go through all along the way of the breath. And then I discovered that it's not only about one modality. There is a huge number of modalities.
Yes.
Some of it were so close to each other, and some of it dramatically different. So I start choosing and again searching for the best practices.
Because the breath gives you freedom, huh? Freedom of choice. This is one of the this is one of the major thing, I think, is when we feel free to breathe this function that belong to us, and we learn how to do it consciously, and we catch and we experience what is freedom. And one of them is freedom of choice, to stop being a victim, to choose the way how I want to breathe in those moments, to choose our way, and in your case also to choose which modality, what else I can learn, and what I'm gonna create. And this is what you do, huh?
Exactly. It's an infinite source of support, answers, solutions that you imagine and that you cannot imagine. So it's like the breath, it's infinite. So simply.
Yes.
Yalla. And I was doing a lot of other business at the same time. So, and then I decided to find the call in the breath, in what I'm doing, just because I found that I was able to help myself through the breath. And also I was able to help others also using the breath. And I can see the result.
Yeah.
I start by doing this, practicing this on corporate level, on business level. And I'm happy that I was one of the support for lots of people who change also their approach or the way they were dealing in the world of business. So it was like this, because what is
Yeah.
business, what is corporate? It's just structure, process, mission, visions. So if you give breath to all of that, so it will clear, it will deblock, and it will make it more enjoyable, more human, and also uh, more achievements too. So then one of those days I said, okay, I had enough in being working for others. So now it's time to work for myself. And this is how I start. Now it's been a long time.
Which
And
year was that, Omar?
I think it was about 12 years back.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was like this. It was going so fast.
Yes.
Already 12 years. Yeah. When I start doing this for myself.
Yes. Beautiful. So I know into your journey, and because you go into the profound part of the self, and I can see that something that something we say a lot in the breathwork exercises, something I see in you and I recognize in myself, is how to keep it simple, but how to be profound and
Exactly.
keep searching, because we cannot negotiate the need of the depth that some of us we need into having the answer and connecting and expanding. So this is another part where you and me we meet. You and me we meet in different area. One area is the origin. When I met you and I learned that you're from Tunis, the first thing I said before my name is Viola, I said, I'm Arabic too. And then, yes, so, and you smile like you smile now, of acceptance and love. So
Yeah.
for those of you who don't know that part of me, I was born in Iraq, in Kirkuk, and I had first 4 years of my life in the Assyrian community. This is the language I spoke first. And then we moved when I was in 1963, when I was 4.5 to Lebanon. So I learned then how to speak Arabic and learn my Lebanese part, because when I speak Arabic is quite Lebanese. And then when I was 13, we emigrated to Venezuela. So we are like yourself, that you are born in Tunis, but you live in Jordan. Now you're in Saudi, and you do this work internationally. You're Mediterranean, you're North African, you're an Arab, but actually we are citizens of the world. And
Exactly.
this is what make us these transcultural mentors and therapists, and why we can understand the different angles of the world, because we've been in different parts, living and exchanging and connecting. So tell us how do you feel the Arab, North African, Mediterranean part of the world that you live in? How
Okay.
how do you engage? How I know you give a lot of services to different areas of society. I know you vibrate with Middle East, and I know you specialize now in the work of trauma, in the trauma that has been, you call it transgeneration trauma in Middle East. So I want you to talk about this subject, please.
All right. Well, the topic is so big and huge, and uh, I mean, it requires lots of sessions and more time and more energy. But I will just summarize it in few points, Viola. Um, we are a human being. Doesn't matter from where we come. We are just a human being. It is enough to be a human being, to embrace our humanity, that we can help everyone from any part of this Mother Earth. We share this breath, we share this air, the same land, the same water, whether we are aware of that or not, with the same thoughts, the same consciousness and awareness, whether we are connected to that or not. And being from this part of the world, Viola, for me means a lot. I had a lot of opportunity to live in other countries, especially the Western countries. It's nice to visit my friends there, to see also my clients, and to share with them the breath and the wisdom of the breath. At the same time, I feel the call to be here, to remain here in this place of the world. Middle East, North Africa, is the heart of the world. We are in the center of those continents, of those 7 continents. We are in the heart. We are the carrefour of all civilizations here. And today, with facing the coronavirus pandemic, people are calling me not just to help them, but also to go deeply in the origins and in the roots of the trauma that they faced long years before and generations also before. As I was saying in my previous interview, I was saying that the Middle East is the most deeply wounded place on earth. I can count hundreds of wars, regional and local conflicts too, beside those wars. We rebuild houses, we rebuild the buildings, we rebuild schools, we rebuild hospitals, but we are not rebuilding that psychological structure of those nations. It is the most neglected part of those nations. And nations, wounded nations, cannot produce, cannot be creative, and cannot also be of an apport and support to the whole humanity. Yeah. And if this nation is not able to do, it means that also it is affecting the other part of our nations. You cannot have fire in your house neighbor, even if it's far 100 kilometers far from you, and say, I don't care. This fire somehow will reach you. And you can see today how it is affecting the whole world. When I talk, let's say, about terrorism, when I talk, let's say, about war, what is happening? The whole world is suffering from those wars, conflicts, and terrorism. Now, going back, I will give you 2 examples. I was called by one of my friends. She was already taking some sessions with me, and she told me that her brother is a businessman. He's a young businessman. He just got married 2 months or 3 months back. But he was not able to live his life like a husband. And that he's a help. He needs a help. I fixed an appointment for him for an online session. When we start breathing, for sure, after taking the brief and having an evaluation and assessment about his case, when we start breathing, I discovered that it's not about the coronavirus, but the coronavirus was just triggering that fear inside of him about losing some close people to himself.
Yeah.
It was about previous trauma when he was so young at the 19, 1990, where the house, the villa where they were living in their farms was hit by a cruise missile. He was cooking for his brother, and he didn't find the time even to switch off the oven. And explosions happened, big explosions, and the ceiling of the kitchen went down, and he lost his brother. Then this is one, I mean, it was a big trauma. And then he lost another close friend in the street when also he was shot down by the army. So his fear of losing some closed person in his life was triggered also by the virus. So we are not dealing with the fear of virus itself, but we are dealing with previous unresolved trauma.
Yes, and this is the concept of the PTSD, of course, as many of you
Exactly.
know. And this is how this time is so important that we have a lot of support through telephone, through call, through webinars to support people who are going through similar situation. If they didn't know yet somebody like Omar or like me, please contact anybody, any friend that through this connection you will reach somebody like us to be able to work with you through the, even though we can't see you physically, but we can work with you. And this is what Omar is talking, that this time it can activate and trigger many of the post-traumatic stress disorder, of course. Yes.
Exactly, Viola. Now, the second case, and I'm just reciting those cases, but cases are hundreds and thousands. All right. It's also from a young lady who has two child. She's about 34 years old. She's from Palestine, and she's living out of Palestine. But when we start breathing also, she was in one of those cities where it was colonized also by the army, and they came into their houses and they locked them down in only one small rooms, the whole family, and they were threatened by being detained or taken to the jail just because they were refusing to be just sitting or locked down in only one room of their houses. And this triggered within her that fear of being locked down again and not being able even to go to the toilet, all right, and answer her natural call. So she was afraid also that one of her family members, her father or mother or brother and sister, will be taken just because they want to go to the toilet. Imagine. And also when we breathe, then things has been changed. So without having a program of effective trauma integration in our world, we will remain a traumatized nations. And here I call all the governments, all the organizations on higher level, please, you have the call, you have the mission to rebuild your nations, not only on building level or economic level, but also on this mental structure level. It is essential. It is the starting point of everything in your life if you want to be a successful and happy nations.
Let's take a deep breath, all of us. And while the government and the authority of every city or every country manage to do this, please, meanwhile, you help yourself and connect www.ibfbreathwork.org, where you can have a list of all of us in different countries, different languages, and different methodology and ways how we work to be able to support you in this precise moment. I will repeat, is ibfbreathwork.org at your service. Thank you, Omar, for your, how can I call it, for your feeling for this cause and for the way how you're getting so engaged every day to be part of the big family who is helping to heal the individuals, the family, the community, the city, the country, the world.
Thank you for your too, Viola, for sharing all this with me too, and for all our IBF community,
Yes,
brothers and sisters.
yes. And then you and me, we meet again in life in many beautiful places, and we have one teacher in common. And our
Right.
colleague nowadays, because he's so humble, so he doesn't allow us much to call him teacher, so he wants us to be colleague. So tell me about your encounter with Jim Morningstar.
Oh, it was a beautiful encounter. Jim, well, he's a teacher. He's a person who did a lot of integration with himself. You know, Jim, he's the person where when you will sit with him, you will just feel so much comfortable and peace to be who you are, out of any judgment, out of any. He has wonderful qualities, and he is a high wisdom person. So it was about 4 years back that I was doing lots of research on other also breath modalities and doing lots of comparison between those techniques and those schools when I was captured by the therapeutic breath school and what they offer. Um, and I straight away was interested, and I sent him an email asking him to meet him. So we fixed an appointment online, and we went through lots of deep, conversation on scientific level, on of the breath aspects, and this is how I start having also more answers about these modalities. I love it. So I told him, Jim, can you accept me as your student? And he said, well, it's my honor. And this is how it started. Now we train together.
Yes.
And working with him, it's really an always enjoyable, fruitful, and enriching experience.
Yes.
So
Yes, and I know you bring in Jim to the Middle East, and we have planned training in Bahrain for April.
right,
And yes, so we will enjoy Jim in this part of the world too. Yes.
exactly. While also keeping our arms open to all the other modalities and sharing, and we are like bees. We move and from flowers to flowers, and every flowers is unique in
Exactly.
itself. Yeah.
Exactly.
So we go which we feel we are comfortable with it in this moment, in this period of our life, and also we need also.
Yes. So Omar, I know you are a married man and you're a father of two and you're a brother of dozens of people. I'm not the only sister, I can tell you, but I managed that.
Right.
Managed.
Very true.
So, and I know how engaged you are with Middle East and North Africa and working with trauma. So what other, even though it's very big, so apart from all what you're doing, do you have any other thought, action, or desire that you want to kind of expand? And I know you will. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your vision, where you're going?
Okay, for this moment, my intention and focus is to uh, create this program for trauma healing in this place of the earth and then spread it all around the world. All right. We have this mission to help healing people's trauma, and especially for this piece of earth. It is an emergency, and when the heart of this earth start healing, the whole earth will start also healing. And this is my mission for this period. And I want to see it happening by being adopted by governments, our governments, and why not also by the world organizations. So this is my intention for the humanity, and this is my intention especially for this place of earth. And for sure, for all of you to be here, breath angels together.
Yes. So we have a lot of work to do together because
Exactly.
I'm engaged a lot with some groups of peace in the world, and I will, after our session here now, we will be introducing you to Bente and to Anne-Marie and people who are doing beautiful work in the world that
Good.
is toward healing the earth.
Excellent. You
Yeah,
see my intention start working already.
of course, of course, of course. So also I wanted to talk about being transcultural therapist. So you work in French, Arabic, and English. You have
Right.
clients from these, you can work in these three different languages. Yes?
Right. And the Italian too.
And Italian too, you see?
Yeah.
So I do English, Spanish, and Arabic, and Omar does Italian, French, English, and Arabic. And this is very important sometimes for you to be able to go through these processes in your own language. And it's a pleasure also for us to be able to give the service, even though the breath itself is a language without any restriction of
Very true.
orthography or any other thing. So we, first of all, we talk the language of breath, and then to share after or before we do it with different languages, isn't it, Omar?
Very true. Very true. That's the unspoken language that is contagious and that work like heaven.
Yes, yes.
And this happen a lot, especially when I'm traveling in airports or in airplanes, or you can just breathe people and help them even without being able to speak their language.
Yeah,
It's like music also. It's like the music. It's breath is a music already.
yeah.
You know?
As a colleague of us, he said, actually, in some moment, you feel like the breathing is taking you, the breath is breathing you. Yeah, it's being breath by the breath. Yes. So we don't need
Exactly.
language for that. So,
Exactly.
so Omar, you and me, we have many plans also to do some work in Arabic, in Cyprus.
Right.
I live now in Cyprus, and now we are occupied, all of us, doing our work online, giving our consultancy online, and supporting people in different modality of breath, also online. The one that we're allowed to do with parameters that we get from the IBF and from the Alliance of Breathwork
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So
GBPA. Yeah.
yes, so for those of you who are asking for services, please connect this institution, connect us, and do it in the proper and most professional way. Do you have anything to say about breathwork online?
Well, I already experienced it even before the coronavirus. I used to do also lots of online breathing sessions for my clients who did already took previous sessions on the spot directly, and then we moved into online, or even for newly just new clients who came on board. It's the way we breathe them which is more important. Going gently and also step by step, no rush, and the most important is to make them feel safe. This is rule number one. So and giving them the appropriate approach too, because we cannot use any type of breathing technique for everyone. Everyone needs his way to breathe. Like this, we can really help them efficiently, and it works. It works. I have a wonderful results. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So
number one, it's safety. How to make them feel safe,
yes.
even going through their trauma.
Yeah. Yes. So beautiful subject to go through. Do you have anything else would you like to say to our audience?
All right. Well, I have a lot, but for the
I know.
yeah, okay. Now, be aware of something. The whole humanity now already is in transformational period of time. Keep working and focusing on your timeline. All right? The corona will not last. The most important, focus on your objectives and keep going on. Adapt. You can adapt. You are so creative. So use your creativity to adapt and adopt. This corona is a huge opportunity to our humankind to develop, to heal, and to grow. So connect with that energy.
Thank you so much, Omar. Thank you in my
You're
name
welcome.
and in the name of our colleagues from IBF. And yeah, there is so much to talk with you, and there is so much to talk about trauma and how trauma push us down. Now, you have to remember that many of our trauma, we don't know that we have trauma. And there's
Exactly.
a lot of controversial thing about it. It's not about holding the trauma and defending yourself. There is different way how people deal with trauma, of course, but I want you to know that many people have the trauma without knowing that they have the trauma. And
Exactly.
the beautiful thing about the work with the breath is that as we are systemic being, this is the way how I work. This is now a little bit publicity for me now in the way how I work.
You
There
deserve
is
it.
nothing that happened. That's how we work. There is nothing that happened that doesn't affect the other part. So when we're going into the conscious breathing experience, as I say, is an experience. So it's not only a concept, it's not only an understanding, it's a physical, emotional, mental, spiritual experience. So in that sense, it's somatic. So it's beautiful also that there is other terminology of the breathing technique, because it's a somatic therapy, because it will connect us with that moment when we hold the breath, when we were facing that painful, that grief, that loss in our life, and how we get, some of us, it seems like we didn't breathe forever. For example, in my case, until I went into the experience of the breath work, I was already 33 and my dad died when I was 3. And then I knew that I grieved my dad for 30 years. Because I could not speak about him, his death, without shivering and shaking. And so what I did is to avoid, I lived my life and grow avoiding that until I went into the physical experience of that. And not because somebody guided me to go there. No, this is the beauty about the breath also. It's like when you're ready to live an experience, you're gonna live that experience. So for me,
Exactly.
to work for trauma, same thing when I work with recovery, the empowerment of the breath is because in this way of working is because nobody is doing it for you. It's you and your breath that you're doing it for yourself. And in my situation, of course, there is no modality that will return my father to me, or there is no modality that will take the year of orphanity as a child, as I, the way how I lived them and the victimhood I lived. But I can tell you now I'm 61, and since that breathing session and all the others that I did in my life, how I managed to heal that open wound that I carry for 30 years. For
Wow.
that, that wound affected my relationship with men. That wound affected my uh, acquiring property, because as my dad died from a heart attack and all our life changed, I used to live in a situation that it's like I always like living with a small luggage and something that I can leave, small apartment, all furnished, whatever, old car, nothing to attach to. Because what I decided is in those years of pain is that I'm not gonna never again experience that pain. And from my trauma, as I decided that, so I could not engage in a relationship or or in any place, in any way. Yeah. So how interesting, your subject is very important, and I'm telling you part of my story to reconfirm the beauty of your work, Omar, because
Thank
healing
you.
trauma is the most important thing in our life. When I'm interviewed and they tell me, what is your major achievement in life? I said, to have let go my victimhood, my orphanity, my victimhood. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for the work that you do, because you help
Thank
people to
you.
let go of that, to heal their wound. And we will have different scars, of course, but we can live with
Sure.
those. And for the work you do for the individual, for the work you're doing for families, because I know you work with families, and also you do work for organization. And today I hear you saying, peace of earth, in that part of the world, in our part of the world, Arabic country, Middle East, North Africa, and the rest of the world, you're in a mission to heal the earth, peace of earth, isn't it?
Right. Right.
Is trauma healing for the earth? Can you please, to close, say it again in your own way? I want you now to close, and it's gonna be your word, and then we close. I want you to say this sentence in English, in Arabic, in French, and in Italian, and then we finish. Thank you so much for your attention, and Omar has the word.
Thank you. Thank you, Viola. Actually, I will tell you something, Viola. As long as we are talking about the breath, I would just use the breath to say it in all languages and go beyond any barriers, any borders. Just inhale and just allow the exhaling to live by itself with no efforts, with no control. Close your eyes, and from your mouth, allow it to live by itself.
So is inhale from the nose, exhale from the mouth.
Yes, exactly. Allow it to leave smoothly, gently, out of any control, out of any hold, and out of any rejection. And I'm more calm, I'm more relaxed, and I become more aware of what I might holding in my neurosystem, in my thoughts, in my life, in my body, and that I can free myself from any negative pattern. And I always have this wisdom of breath beside me, with me. I'm not alone. I'm not separated. And I can go back anytime to reconnect and know who am I truly. We're just one. One word, one breath, one human being. كلنا عالم واحد، نفس واحد، وإنسان واحد. Then we can go back. How do you feel, Viola?
Very good. Beautiful. Thank
Good.
you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you
With
for you too.
one breath, one word. Yes.
And one human being.
Yes. نفس واحد عالم واحد. Yes. شكرا شكرا
Exactly.
كثير عمر. Thank you so much. And
Thank you for you too.
Yes, and thank you for IBF for this beautiful space of celebration of the breath, and for all our colleagues that's been doing so much work. So we are here today.
My free breath and love to all our brother and sister in our beautiful IBF
Yes.
and GBPA also.
Yes, of course, of course. Bye bye for now, and be with you very,
Thank you.
very soon. Bye bye, Omar. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye bye. Thank you.
Salam.
مع السلامة.